Welcome, everybody, to NYCFC Views Live, where it's the second season. Pascal Janssen, head coach of New York City FC, he'll be experiencing MLS Cup Playoffs for the first time. That's next Tuesday when New York City visits Charlotte. We were at training today, so we'll report back from what we learned in Orangeburg, New York. The wild card games are complete, and there's one tonight. You got Inter Miami playing host to Nashville, first of a best of three, so we'll all be watching that, I suppose, and less the baseball fans are watching the World Series. Got a lot to cover tonight. Thanks for joining us.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. NYCFC Views.
Collins approaches the shot, and New York City wins the first MLS Cup on their first try, and they're going crazy. Tiene tiro y gol! Gol! New York City es el campeón de Major League Soccer!
The sickest New York City FC podcast. It's gonna be sick.
All right, everybody. Glenn Crooks, Roberto Abramowitz on our weekly episode. Occasionally we throw in a second, but just doing one this week as New York City prepares for Charlotte. They don't play till Tuesday. You've got the first game of a best-of-3 series tonight, Inter Miami playing host to Nashville. And Roberto and I were both up at training today and got a chance to hang out, watch training a bit, talk to some folks. I'll have something from Pascal Janssen. I spoke with Alonso Martinez, and what was really the first time I've been able to sit down with him, thanks to Esteban Camino for translating. And Roberto, I think you had Nico Fernandez-Mercado?
I did.
All right, very good. How are you doing?
Excited for his first playoff match. He likes the format.
Yeah, I think the format's well, we could talk about the best of three probably forever. That would be an entire NYCFC Views Live, but I'm not a big best of three fan. That's all. If we're gonna do it, let's just do the knockout. Or do you want to do home away and do the old? I like aggregate home away. I used to like those, but
my favorite is the way they do it in Mexico because it means that the regular season means something. So the higher seeded team advances on a 90-minute tie, on a 180-minute tie. So it's basically 90 minutes at one place, 90 minutes at the other. They add up all the goals. If it's tied, team with a higher seed advances.
I'd go for that.
I like it.
Yeah.
And no away rule goals, none of that. It's just total goals. Whoever has more wins, or whoever, if it's tied, then the team with a higher seed, they advance.
I always have liked the if you're not going to do a knockout game, I like the two legs instead of best of three because you're setting up the games. It's like the first game is the first half, the second game is the second half of this full 180-minute game. And it's just, I don't know, it seems to be a more fun, more entertaining. But we had a great time in Cincinnati for Game 3 last year when Matt Freese did his thing. And look, having Matt Freese in your back pocket now in playoff season where games are generally tighter and the chances of if let's say it goes 3 games, one of these games is going to penalties and you got Freese in goal.
Yeah. So it gives New York City an advantage, but we'll get to that as we go along.
Yeah, for sure. And one of the penalty saves that Matt has had this year, he's had that high-profile Costa Rica 3 saves, saving or altering, except for Alonso Martinez, his teammate. But he saved against Wilfred Zaha, who is not going to play in this game for Charlotte because of some foolish activities on decision day. And boy, what a nut job! That I don't know how else to describe it. And what a fun and great player. But look what Charlotte is missing for their at home in this best of three. And Zaha, remember he told Tavon Gray how much he hated playing in Yankee Stadium. So
well, he should have got this. He should have waited for the red card on Tuesday's game, and then he didn't have to play there.
Well, I'm already unable to. Well, let's see if I can get you back. Give me Roberto. I might have to knock off.
Did you lose me already?
Here.
He lost me already. We're only
every,
6 minutes into
where's
this.
the engineer? I'll see you in a second.
This is weekly. I don't know. The funny thing is he's got 2 computers. Use the other bloody computer if this one keeps on screwing up. He hits something. I have no idea what it is. And something goes wrong. All right, let me go through the questions right now. So far, the only one chiming in is KP. So, hi, KP. Best of 3 is horrible. All right. I don't know if it's horrible, but there are better ways of doing it. And the reason it's best of 3 is because Apple demanded it. They wanted more games. If we do it, then do it like La Liguilla. Oh, are you back? Can you hear me?
Well, I heard you. I hear you. And I am looking at the comments you were reading. Best of 3 is horrible. Yeah, I agree. I don't like it. I don't like best of 3 either. I'm not going to use the word horrible because we had, again, the thing I was getting to before I knocked myself off here or whatever the heck happened was
it's weekly.
We had this
is nuts.
We had this game 3 at TQL, Cincinnati, the heavy favorites, and to get past that game and then host the Red Bulls. So home field advantage meant nothing last year for the New York Football Club.
But by the way, and not only last year, but for most of
21, yeah.
For most of 21, which by the way turned out pretty good for New York City, if I remember.
Yeah, it did all right.
Didn't it?
Boy,
my memory sometimes
and had to play on 2 plastic fields because that's been talked about ever since this year. Charlotte in particular, how disgruntled they were with Yankee Stadium. Everybody comes in and has their own thing to say in the midweek press or all that stuff. And we've talked about it ad infinitum, so I don't want to bring it up too much other than to say Charlotte really took issue with it. The Zaha thing was unbelievable with Tavon Gray. I mean, it was 5 minutes in. He said, "You play on this? Shh, you play on this?" So
you can say crap if you'd like as a euphemism.
Nah, But so
I've heard you say worse.
It's in their it's kind of in their mind, but
it's in their head, and that's great. It's absolutely great. I love it. Every time a team complains about Yankee Stadium or Citi Field or the dimensions or whatever, I love it. It's in their heads. It's absolutely in their heads, and it's playing tricks on them. Good.
New York City's never won at Charlotte, so there are a number of players that have played in some of those games. And
by the way, they never won at Nashville until this year, so keep that in mind.
Yeah, well, but wasn't a Nashville game a 2-2 draw at Nashville? What am I? I think I'm
2-1. 2 late games 2 late goals for New York City and turned the game around.
You're thinking Orlando. At Nashville, New York City was down 2-0 at the half.
Yep.
New York City
that's
was down
right.
2-0 at the half and came back and won
and tied 2-2. Okay, so they got their first point there. You're right, absolutely. And it was Orlando that they turned that game around and won it 2-1. You're right.
So, but it's plastic and it's a football stadium. So Pascal Janssen, mentioned that briefly, because I brought up Yankee Stadium again in Charlotte, and even though it's not till game 2, and we'll get into it a little bit more, but he was like, yeah, like we said before, playing on football fields, playing on, well, he called it turf. I like calling it plastic because that's what it is. Some of it, I guess, is a hybrid, but none of it.
No, those hybrids are considered to be grass fields. They're not even considered to be turf fields. That is mostly grass with some plastic fibers in there to keep it all together.
Well,
but those are mostly grass fields.
Yeah, that's not Charlotte or Portland. So
Charlotte used to have a grass field until they decided to get a soccer team, and then they decided to put turf in. Yeah, well, that used to Bank of America used to be grass.
And there's no conversations about a stadium there either, is there? That's one city I haven't heard anything about. You got Chicago.
No. They're staying. They're owned by the same guy, so no,
Yeah.
they're not doing anything. If anything, they're renovating Bank of America Stadium. There's going to be an investment, I believe. There's already been some changes to accommodate the soccer fan experience a little bit better, but they're, as far as I know, they're sticking there with the Bank of America Stadium.
So where New York City's 0-4, 13 home wins for Charlotte. They had the best record at home playing at Bank of America. So it's obviously not an easy venue, and but again without Zaha and Tori Penso was on that game, and the reason I mentioned that is because we had Chris Penso for Decision Day, and the Charlotte-Philadelphia game at Bank of America. It was Tori Penso. Second yellow, red card. Originally, I didn't see what happened, but then there was a replay look that I didn't see until like this week, and it was pretty. It was definitely a yellow card. He couldn't argue
He's
that.
deserving. He can't go complain that somehow he had been mistreated in all of this.
No, and it was his 10th yellow card of the year. So
Yeah.
he leads MLS in yellows. He leads MLS in fouls drawn. Pascal Janssen was like, "What?" when I brought that up today in the pregame presser or pregame briefing for my pregame show next Tuesday. He's drawn 125 fouls. So he knows how to draw the foul. The referees, I think, are a little influenced at times, right? It's Wilfred Zaha. And but he won't be around for that, and I think
At least not for game one.
Now Alonso Martinez will. So here, and I'll just Martinez. This chat I had with him and with Esteban Camino translating. It's going to come out transcribed in English, and Oliver Strand has agreed to put it in Hudson River Blues so that supporters can read, because you're going to learn some things about Alonso that I don't think have ever been published or talked about before, including this little island that he grew up in. It's called Isla Chira or Chira Island, Chira. And if you go on a map and look at it, and he had to take they had to take a boat to play soccer when he kind of went off the island to start moving in his career. So it's a pretty cool story. It's a very cool story of how he transferred to Alajuelense. But I'll leave it to I don't want to say too much about it because I'd like Hudson River Blue to get this out, and so that we learn a little bit more about Alonso. And
that's going to be. Are you going to have some of that on your pregame as well?
I'll probably just read. Yeah, I'll read some quotes because again, I'm not going to play the Spanish on my English broadcast. Just
don't be infringing on my territory.
But I want to tell you, here's one thing I want to say. Esteban is an unbelievable translator, as you have told me before. And I spent some time with Melissa Ortiz recently because there was this bid announcement for the U.S. women's national team co-hosting with Mexico, Jamaica, and Costa Rica.
There we go.
That was like breaking news on the night, but she kind of ran the panel. And I've always been impressed with her because she's so articulate in English and Spanish. And to you too, Roberto, and I know I give you a hard time, and you deserve it most of the time, but I'm so impressed with how you present in English and Spanish. Now, I don't know Spanish, but I can tell you're articulate. But that's I think to me, there are very few that can go on both sides and still sound very like almost. You sound Native American when you speak, as she does.
Well, I am Native American. If anything, Spanish would be, the secondary language. But okay. I mean, for me, they're both equal. And then even accent-wise. So if I spoke English, you had no idea that I spoke Spanish unless I said some Spanish words in, saying it in Spanish. Like Gonzalez, Rodriguez. Right, you would have no idea, and conversely, when I speak in Spanish, nobody has an idea that I actually speak English. In Mexico, a lot of people look at me, and without hearing me speak think, if they heard a little Spanish, they think I'm Argentinian, which I find amusing because I sound nothing like an Argentinian. I mean, nothing.
Well, get out.
Just like if they were saying that you're British. Or worse, Scottish.
What do you mean, or worse?
Well, just worse meaning that the accent, the Scottish accent, is really very, very different from the American accent to the point of where when I hear Scottish people talk, it takes me a minute or two to get into it, to be able to understand it, because when they first start talking, to me it sounds like Japanese. And then little by little, it's like, oh, all right, now I got it. And then you get into rhythm.
The two dialects that are really hard you have to think about, at least I do, is Australian and New Zealand, because it's different. But if when you hear it, you go like, "Ooh, is that Australian or New Zealand?" I met somebody from.
Okay, well that's to differentiate. Yeah, I guess, but I get that. But to me, to understand Scottish, it's like so hard, and then it's like you get into a rhythm, and then like, all right, now it's good.
No, the brogue can be very difficult. But back to Alonso, who I also talked to him about being an honorary Argentinian, and he has started to drink mate, although he's not really fond of it. But he is the guy, 10 game-winning goals to lead the league coming into the playoffs, 17 regular season goals, which is his high. I keep hearing he had 17 goals last year. He had 16 in the regular season and 1 in the playoffs. I know they add them up, but he has more regular season goals this year than last year. But his expected goals is over 23. So I brought this up with Pascal Janssen, referring specifically to his miss in the first half against Philadelphia. Here's Pascal.
Statistic as well, because that is something that we've talked about with the team in general, because he gets himself into these positions, but we also mustn't forget how the team gets him in these areas and make sure that he can get us the goals. This specific moment against Philadelphia is an interesting one because it could have set us off with the 1-0 score, and you never know.
You get the goal then,
Exactly. Yeah. Like we mentioned in the presser, the importance of the first goal. But this specific moment, it's interesting because Tico is aiming for more goals, of course, and more goals than last season because he finished on 17 last season, and the same goes for this season. He should have scored. It's as simple as that. The only thing that we mentioned in this specific moment, if he was aware of other choices. And in this particular moment, he was not aware of the other players that might be in a better position to finish off than himself.
I haven't heard that perspective of him missing the target completely. Is that he could have just slipped a pass across. Apparently, Nico Fernandez-Mercado was close by. So, interesting.
Yeah.
I hadn't thought about it that way. So anyway, there's Pascal, the pregame show. It's coming up on Tuesday. We'll have it on social media for you to figure out when Roberto and I are starting up our broadcast, because it's a 6:55 kickoff. So I don't know what our airtime is yet. I got to think about it, Roberto. So
that would be 6:40.
No, it's a 6:55 kickoff. So I'm not going to go on.
Oh, true.
See?
So let's see. So 6. You're right. Okay, so 6:55, 6:45. Give me a second.
Can we not
so
figure it out?
6:30. Too late. I got to do the math. I can't just let that sit. 6:30.
You're a jerky boy sometimes.
Well, what can I tell you?
We're not even going to talk about decision day, right? Have we been on since then? I don't think we have. So it's really
what's there to talk about?
Not any goals of note.
No, I mean, if they had won, they would have been in 5th place. Had they had tied, they would have been in 5th place. They lost. They're in 5th place. Not much to talk about. I did ask Pascal if losing 3 out of 4 meant anything coming into the playoffs, and he was like, nope. That was like the bluntest, quickest, one-word answer I've gotten out of Pascal yet. I was like, okay, I guess that's it.
Huh? No elaboration. I don't think,
Zero.
I think in a very, very slight way, a little minor way, Pascal showed he's a little anxious. It's the playoffs, man. He's never experienced this before. So not that he was tense, I don't think Pascal
No.
gets truly tense to where he's going to show it. But it was just his answers today were maybe a little shorter, a little more clipped.
Well, with
And-
me, it was definitely short. With
that
me,
one
it
was.
was definitely short. And that's fine. He
Yeah,
doesn't have to love it. He doesn't have to love every one of my questions. I get that.
It's not about you or your questions. I'm saying overall. I'm saying.
Okay.
Never mind.
All right. Well, let me ask you a question then. Do you
keep it
think
short.
do you think it matters that they've lost 3 out of 4 coming into the playoffs?
Heck yeah. It matters. What matters is that if they could have taken care of business in 2 out of those 3 games, they'd have home field advantage. No matter what happened in 21 or what happened last year, you're playing Charlotte. You want to play 2 out of 3 at Yankee Stadium. Sorry, that's an advantage if that's the way it was going to work out. That's the first thing I think of, Roberto. But I do believe that there'll be a different energy, a different commitment, because that's what this second season provides. And so I don't think we'll see some of the things Seattle. It was just kind of a drab performance, and they've
got to work on they've got to work on set pieces. So that's important. I mean, they gave up 2 goals on 2 set pieces that they never should have given up on and should have given goals up on. And they got to take care of that.
And my point with Zaha, with all those fouls that he's drawn, I did bring it up to Pascal. He didn't really take it and run with it, but there are going to be fewer set pieces because he's the one predominantly drawing the fouls. And when he's drawing fouls, he's not drawing fouls, in their end, because he's not spending a lot of time in their end. He's drawing fouls in New York City's end or the opponent's end, and that's where the ball's going to be curled in and served, and in their case. And remember, they got Malanda at the back, who has been excellent in the air and has scored against New York City off of set piece. So, we'll see how that goes. All right, so that's that. So we've got Miami and Nashville tonight. I'm really looking forward to this one because Nashville got spanked after going up, 2-1 at the half, and then they lose 5-2? Or is it 2-0?
I think it was 2-1. Let's see.
And that was decision day. So that's their most now they get to play them in the playoffs. So you would expect a response from Nashville. They're in Miami.
It was 2-1.
2-1 at half. Okay.
Messi had put Inter Miami ahead in the 35th minute. Surridge scored in the 43rd, and Schaffelberg made it 2-1 in the 6 minutes of stoppage time. And then Messi again in the 63rd tied it. Rodriguez made it 3-2. A penalty made it 4-2 that Messi took, and then Segovia with the last one in stoppage time.
Well, once they get going, but I don't know. You're not going to be shocked if Nashville pulls the upset in this series, are you? I'm not going to.
Well, let's remember what happened last year when they lost to a pretty average Atlanta team after Atlanta had to beat Montreal in penalty kicks in Montreal.
Yeah, so we know it's possible. So you would think Miami would have a bit of extra motivation. And knowing a couple of their boys are finishing out their careers, Busquets and Alba, and
and Messi signed a new contract.
Well, that's the big news this week in Miami is that Messi has re-upped through 28, which means he's going to play in their new stadium. Which means if he's healthy, he's going to play in New York City's new stadium. So
that is accurate.
So that's going to be 29 goals, 19 assists in 28 games. I think the the thing that made me chuckle on social media at some point at the end of the season is that he scored 1 fewer goal than DC United as a team.
Oh, God.
And he did it in 28 games.
And they have Benteke.
Oh, my God.
And Benteke is a really good scorer.
I was I went right to the goal differential area and I said, is that true? And yeah, sure enough.
The interesting thing about Messi re-signing a contract and for 3 years, which is like eye-opening. That doesn't mean he can't retire after one or two, whatever he wants to do. He's the same age as Maxi Morales. I remember last week when I spoke to Maxi, I asked him about that, and playing another year did not seem to be off the table based on his comments. Now, of course, David Lee is no longer here, so we have to see who the new sporting director is going to be, and what his marching orders are going to be from CFG, and what he thinks of the Maxi Morales situation. So there's going to be a lot of moving parts once the season ends for New York City FC, which we hope is somewhere in the middle of December.
David Lee, in a little bit, I've got a clip prepared from his press conference. I think it was yesterday. They've got an interesting roster situation, but let's talk about that when we when we get there. So Messi signs. Roberto, I heard something from a pretty reliable source about the schedule involving the World Cup next summer versus when the league. And if I've missed something here, I know you'll tell me right away. I don't think I've heard anything like this come out, in as much as the 2026 season will start as it normally does in February. It'll break for the World Cup. It'll pick back up, though, after a fewer games have been played. I don't have an exact read as to when the schedule will start in 26. But this person told me that they would they'd take a winter break and still continue to play the 2026 season into 2027, and that this new FIFA calendar would take place starting in August of 2027. How about that?
Oh, wow.
Now,
so you're going to have a 1.5 year long season? You're going to end the season in June of 2027?
It would be May.
Okay, sorry, May.
But you might be starting later. But you might be starting later in 26 to kind of make up for it, to give it like two halves to the season. I don't know. I said to this person, I said, Are you just making this up? And said, no, this is some of the stuff I'm hearing.
Well, what I could see happening, I haven't heard any of this, but I mean, your source may be 100% on point. I mean, what I could see happening is that MLS decides that for 1 year, it decides maybe to shelve League's Cup, and then uses those dates to be able to make up, the fact that they're going to be shut down for 5 weeks. And maybe what they wind up doing is that instead of being shut down for the whole World Cup, they start up once either this quarters end, semifinals begin, sort of thing.
Yeah, that seems to make more sense.
It would seem more reasonable because you probably don't have too many MLS players. I mean, the great scenario would be if you have several MLS players who are playing in the semifinals and finals, but chances of that happening are slim. So you would figure that they could start up then, and without playing on days that the semifinals are being played or whatever, not interfering with that.
Well, when we talked to Brad Sims, president and CEO of the New York City Football Club, the scenario he drew out was more the season ends, and then you have a mini season from whatever February until
May or June or whatever.
Right? Yeah, and then start your FIFA calendar then. That seems to make more sense because there's another league doing that. Oh, why? It's escaping me. There's a league doing it, like Sweden or Denmark. There's another league that's doing exactly that. They're going to have that's not on the FIFA calendar right now. Maybe it's not those two. I cannot.
Is it Argentina or Brazil? Because they're on the American calendar.
I know, but
people never mention that. By the way, it seems pretty interesting how they're not playing real soccer because they're not playing the European calendar, but we're playing with the Brazilians and the Argentinians. But that doesn't count.
Yeah, and their leagues are pretty good, and
really,
and their players. Yeah, well,
really.
I think a lot of people that are watching us right now don't watch Brazilian or Argentinian top-tier football. They don't.
Probably not. I mean, it's on. I think it's still on Paramount.
Yeah, it's not as readily accessible as all these other leagues. So
I get it on football because we have between TYC, they say that's an Argentinian station. We have that, and then Fubo itself has its own little channels that do stuff, and then you have the BN channels where you get all the Copa Libertadores. So you get to see a lot of South American soccer live on Fubo.
All right, this get the playoff bracket in front of me, and so I like doing this. I don't do much forecasting, I have to say. But this intrigues me. So Chicago's going to play Philadelphia. Are you telling me the Chicago Fire can't beat Philadelphia? Sorry, I don't care where they're playing. It could happen. So
yes, especially since the Fire score a ton of goals on the road.
Yeah, on the road in particular. That's right.
Yes.
Their road performances have outdone their home performances this year. So Philadelphia is the host of the best of three. If they get past Philadelphia and New York City is fortunate enough to get past Charlotte, then New York City would host the Eastern Conference semifinal. If they win that, and
hold on, New York City wouldn't host that. New York City doesn't get to host anything unless all the favorites lose.
No. Chicago is the wild. Excuse me. Chicago is the 8th seed. New York City is the 5th seed. If Chicago gets past Philadelphia,
okay.
Just stay with me, and then I'll. I think I have this figured properly. And New York City. So New York City hosts Chicago in the Eastern Conference semis. New York City wins that match, and above them, Nashville upsets Miami. Columbus beats Cincinnati, which could obviously happen. And then it would be either Columbus or Nashville seated below New York City FC. New York City would host the Eastern Conference final. And then in the West, if either Austin FC or FC Dallas won the Western Conference, which that's not going to happen, but then New York City would host MLS Cup if they got all the way through. So why are you looking at your phone? I've got it in front of me.
Well, because I was just following along with you, that's all.
Sometimes you look at your phone and go, hey, I like you looking at me when I'm speaking, not your phone.
I'm just following along.
It's like our kids. Hey, look at me.
Well, they don't want to.
No. But that's not a far-fetched scenario, at least to the Eastern Conference final. It's not far-fetched. A lot of things have to happen there.
Oh, but yeah, there are upsets all the time.
Yeah. Anyway, so I thought that was fun to just look at.
Didn't New York City, what did New York City in 2021 come out of the 5 or the 6 hole?
Oh, boy.
Somebody here on the comments is going to tell us.
I think it was fifth.
Yeah.
Because it was, New England and Philadelphia were both ahead of New York City. And New York City was ahead of Atlanta, who they beat in the first round to get there. So I think that was
what do you call it? Put up KP's last post, please. Come on, Jimmy.
What now?
The last post by KP. There we go.
I didn't see that. Yeah, well, can I dream? Can I dream?
I want to go on the road. I want to go and visit these cities.
Well, Chicago, how winning their first playoff game since November 7th, 2009, when they defeated the New England Revolution 2-0 at Toyota Park. So they weren't at Soldier Field for this 3-1 win over Orlando. They were at Toyota Park. Only 13,700 showed up for the game. I don't want to hear any excuses that it was cold. And
for this game, for the one they played last night,
13,783.
Yeah, it really did look pretty empty, I've got to say.
And in that one in 2009, they had 21,500 for the 3-2 on aggregate. That was a home and home two-legged thing back in 2009. And that was the year Jason Kreis and RSL won MLS Cup, and they beat Chicago along the way.
It was 48 degrees on Wednesday for that game.
Yeah, it looked cold. I mean, everybody had their stadium jackets on and things like that.
Yeah, but I mean, come on, it's a playoff game. It's the only one you're going to have.
So in that
What are you
2009
doing?
season, Roberto, I mentioned RSL won MLS Cup with New York City's first coach, Jason Kreis. Jeff Cunningham won the Golden Boot for Dallas with 17 goals. They didn't play as many games back then either. Dave Vandenberg, I bring him up because he's on the Portland beat RSL in their wild card game. Vandenberg is the assistant at Portland to Phil Neville. He was second in the league with 10 assists. And I thought I'd make this point: Maximo Carrizo and Seymour Reed weren't born yet, so they were just they weren't even thoughts.
Oh yeah, we were talking about Saha, right? 10 goals, 5 primary assists, 5 secondary assists, or hockey assists, as Glenn likes to say.
Well, the way MLS looks at, they call it 10 and 10, but that's good to point out. That is good.
Yes.
They're calling it 10 assists. So the Portland game, they hadn't won a playoff game, Roberto, since they beat RSL, who they beat in that wild card game 3-1. They beat RSL in the Western Conference Finals in 2021. You know who they played next? New York City FC and MLS Cup in the final. But Portland had not won a playoff game since 2021, that Western Conference Final, until they.
And it's funny because last year Portland had to go on the road. Was it last year? Yeah, Portland had to go on the road to. Let me check my notes.
Other way around.
Portland. No.
Vancouver went to
Portland.
Portland.
Can I finish?
Vancouver played to Portland, and
I know they did.
Okay.
And you just killed the mojo of what I was going to say.
There's no
because
mojo there. There's only one part.
Vancouver was the home team.
Right. But they had to play in Portland because there was.
I know that. I was saying that until you decided that you were going to interrupt me and tell me what I was going to say.
Okay.
I had this whole thing planned out, and you. Anyway, they got 25,518 at Providence Park last night as a home team against RSL.
Well, Portland lost that game 4-0, by the way, that Vancouver game that they
Was it 4 or 5? I forget. I think it might have been 5.
I remember Phil Neville saying up at Coachella at preseason, you should try to get to this event because the number of coaches.
I really do want to.
Just sitting with these coaches and having a chat, but he said the first thing he did in preseason, he had a big poster or video or something with the score. I think you're right. It was 5-0. I thought it was 4-0. And Bruce Arena misses the playoffs. But here's what he said. Here's his quote, Roberto. This is at San Jose. They didn't make it. He said, "We blew too many games this year, wasted too many points, and put ourselves in a position to make it difficult. However," and this is the point he wanted to make from a positive standpoint, "we basically doubled our wins. 6 last year, 11 this year. 21 points last year, 41 this year, 60 goals scored this year, only 41 last year." So there is progress, but when you don't finish in the top 9, I'm sure there's a lot of angst based.
It's especially when you have 9 teams per conference qualifying, 18 out of 30 in the league. So it's basically easier to qualify than not.
And especially in the West, right? Because the West was, look at 44 points got you into the playoffs. If you look at the East, 53 is the 9th place figure. Orlando with 53 points. RSL has 41 points and got in.
Yeah.
12 fewer
41 points would have put them 12 behind Orlando in the East. But then Orlando went to Chicago. And
didn't go well.
Soil the bed. I mean, they had a pretty brutal finish to the season. They lost their last 3 games, didn't win in at least their last 5. Let me see. They're 1, 2, 3. Yeah, they did no wins in their last 5. Their last win was a 3-2 win on September 20th against against Nashville at home. Then they tied Cincinnati on the road 1-1, tied Columbus at home 1-1, lost to Vancouver at home 2-1, got smoked in Toronto 4-2 on decision day, and then went to Chicago and lost to Chicago 3-1. And I would think that, Oscar Pareja's seat might be a little bit warm. And it's not like they've turned on the heat because he's in New York.
I'm going to get some. If anything interesting comes from this, I'll let you know. But I've connected with a guy named Martin Perelman, who is one of his first team assistants, and he's going to come on the Sirius XM show. So I think it's next week or the week after. I've had this set up for a while, but it'll be interesting to see what he thinks about
what happened.
Stretch. I hope he's in a job when I talk to him.
I hope so. But either way, I mean, obviously the question is, what happened?
Yeah.
And hopefully he expands on that as
Hey,
opposed to saying something like, yeah, well, we lost.
One thing Bruce didn't mention is he said they scored 60 goals. They conceded 63 goals. I don't know how you sleep at night. And I've said this when Greg Vanny went to Galaxy 2 years ago. I think they conceded over 70. Galaxy this year, 66, had a minus 20 goal differential. So Matty Lawrence and I had this long discussion. I'd be curious as to what you think here, Roberto, regarding I think this is terrible. And I think there's a way, you got to figure out a way around it. There are 4 teams from the West with a negative goal differential that are going to the playoffs. There are 3 teams with a losing record that are going to the playoffs. Those teams are Austin, they're at 500. They're 13 wins, 13 losses. Dallas, 11-12. Portland, 11-12. RSL has 12 wins and 17 losses, and they're going to the freaking playoffs. And I love those guys. But, man, come on, man.
38-49 minus 11 differential.
Well, I'm sorry. RSL already lost. And Portland.
No, they're out, yeah.
Yeah, so forgive me on that. So RSL is, but
That's
they got
okay.
in. But they got in. So
Yeah.
there's got to. So we were trying to sort out a system whereby you have to at least have a 500 record, or have one as many of you as you've lost, and you can't have a negative goal differential. Come on,
It happens. Look, these are anomalies. These situations happen. They don't happen all the time. You're not going to change a playoff system because one year this happened. It happens.
they shouldn't.
And if you get hot in the playoffs, then bless your heart.
none of those teams should be in the playoffs.
Then go back to 7-7.
Look at the Red Bulls are 12, 15, and 7, and if they were in the West, they would have been in the playoffs. I mean, well, that's what I think. Let's see.
KP says agrees with me and go back to 7 in the playoffs.
Yeah, that is a great point. So I'll
But it's not happening. Apple TV wants more games, so not happening.
Is that where the best of 3 emerge? Is this the third year of
Yeah,
Apple?
that's where non-getting in best of 3 happened.
All right. We're
When Apple came aboard.
We're going to talk about Apple TV and MLS and TV ratings in a second. I wanted to play this Dominic Kinnear cut just for you, Roberto. I have you in mind sometimes when I bring these people on. So Kinnear is a first-team assistant to Cincinnati. They're in they're the number 2 seed, so they're playing host to Columbus. I forget what day they're playing.
Hell is real, baby.
I think it's Monday, but the hell is real. And Dominic, he, along with Bruce, we mentioned Bruce, they're the only 2 coaches in MLS history that have won back-to-back MLS Cups. And Dominic Kinnear was the head coach of Houston in the mid-2000s when they did it. He won 2 MLS Cups with San Jose as an assistant, Roberto. Mm-hmm. But I went back to his playing career, and this is for an interview on Sirius XM. If you're a subscriber, it's available right now on the app. He played with Carlos Valderrama at Tampa Bay with the Mutiny. So I had interviewed the late Tim Hankinson, who passed away from cancer. I had talked to him a couple of times prior to that, and he coached that team. And he told me a story about players knocking on his door. And that's where I brought this up to Dominic about, whether, they were hoping that El Pibe might put in a little bit more effort on the defensive side.
Oh, good luck with that.
But here's Kinnear.
Well, let's be honest. He was an attacking midfielder in the old style sense, The ball and the play had to go through him. You weren't expecting him to defend very much. And I think Tim did a really good job. And I was there with Tim and had a lot of time for him. Like you said, rest in peace. He's a great man. we had a good team, and we did kind of set up the team defensively behind him with two defensive midfielders. He had the freedom to go wherever he wanted. I will say we had a practice one time, and we were doing a fitness exercise where we were running around the field, and we were in positions like positional running,
Yeah.
And Valderrama was not known for his endurance or for his speed over long distances, but he was doing the fitness, and he was lagging behind, and he started cutting corners, and in the end, he just ran into the locker room and called it a day on his own. It was one of the funniest things I had seen, but in all honesty, if the team wanted to be successful, we had to, make him happy because, he was such a special player.
Yeah, I have to laugh about that. Yeah.
Oh, too good. It was too funny.
Too funny.
And we're all running around the field laughing as he's walking off into the locker rooms. Everyone kind of sees it happening. It's so funny.
Well, he wasn't going to sprint back to the locker room, I'll tell you that much.
Can you imagine that happening now? I mean, maybe
certain players can get away with it.
Maybe it happened in Toronto with the two Italians. I wonder if they ever jogged off the field in the middle of practice.
Wait, they practiced?
I think they practiced. But
I'm trying to think if there's any player in the league right now who would get a pass on something like that.
Well, you know what it brought up? Nobody comes to mind, but it brought up the segue into Lucho.
Yeah, Messi and Suarez. Yeah, thank you, Harry. Messi and Suarez. Yeah, they don't exactly.
But they're not
run back a lot.
Yeah, but they're not walking off practice. That's what you're asking, right?
No. I get that. No, but as far as coming back or not on defense,
you're
those
talking
two
about
guys.
just defending. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's always 8 defending for Miami. You're right. But the thing, the segue on that part we were talking about, Valderrama, was Lucho Acosta, how much they got out of him. And part of what he was talking about, if we wanted to be successful, we had to keep him happy. And they were successful, Tampa Bay. And Cincinnati was successful keeping Acosta happy. And I'll never forget Pat Noonan explaining it to me that they sold the players on, look, you may have to rotate defensive. You got to get into defensive shape a little more quickly because he might be floating here and there. But 17 goals and 19 assists later, we win Supporters Shield. That's why you're doing it, Mm-hmm. And you have to sacrifice sometimes like that. As long as the guy, and he was putting in an effort to guide the front line. That's the way Dominic described it. He didn't necessarily win any tackles, but he guided them on the press, and that's how they won a lot of balls in that area. And then went from there. So it's pretty interesting how you have to take a personality. And then that's what befuddled me that Acosta left in a huff. I mean, it's hard to believe because they really took good care of him.
They did, and then he wound up going to Dallas where he was basically useless, and finally Dallas was able to unload him. I don't even know where he went now. I forget. Was it Brazil? Did he go to Brazil?
He might have. I forget.
I forgot where Lucho went to. But yeah, he's out of MLS, that's for sure.
Toronto
Let's go find
FC.
Lucho Acosta.
Toronto FC today declined the option on Sean Johnson, the former New York City keeper. I don't know if that's surprising or not. They had this kind of coy, the club will remain in conversations with select players. They didn't specifically specify which players of the ones that they declined. But and Alfredo Morales, who was such a big part of that 2021 MLS Cup run, his option was declined in St. Louis City, where he'd spent the season. And there'll be no further negotiations there. He's 36 or 37. I don't know what he'll do next. But I always think of him as one of the most important figures in that 21 team in the playoffs.
Oh, for sure. Lucho Acosta's in Fluminense. Oh. And he's got 8 matches, 2 goals, no assists, and a 7.04 rating, which is green. So good for Lucho, 31 years old.
He's in the green.
Remember when they were saying that he was going to go for his U.S. citizenship and he was going to be like the linchpin for Mauricio Pochettino's team? Never happened.
Doesn't he have, I might have this completely wrong, I feel like there's a relative that is his agent. And I think that might be the issue. But I maybe I'm thinking of Santi Rodriguez. Santi Rodriguez, his father is his agent. And that's perhaps one of the reasons things were a little crazy and delayed as New York City was trying to get him to Botafogo.
No, okay.
Anyway, Ronnie Dyla out. Speaking of 2021 MLS Cup, and
that was a S show, as you would like to say.
5 wins.
No, 5 wins. I mean, what we were hearing about total indiscipline outside of the field, and it was just it just never worked.
They didn't win an MLS game from May 28th on. I can't even.
That's 2 years in a row that we've seen the Atlanta faithful, which normally buy 43,000 tickets a game, that the place was just like cavernous. Half the people showing up. I mean, Arthur Blank is going to go and spend money to get a coach, and we're hearing that he might be in contact with Tata Martino again. And also, he's going to go spend money on players, and Tata will have his portfolio. If it is Tata will have his portfolio of players ready to come from Argentina and Paraguay.
No more LAFC for Tata Martino?
That's what we're hearing.
All right. David Lee is the one who hired Ronnie Dyla, and Ronnie left on his own accord. Remember, he went to Standard Liège. And David Lee left on his own accord. He signed a contract to be the, I don't recall the title, chief soccer officer, sporting director. He's in charge of the players.
The sporting side. He's on the sporting side, yes.
So I tuned into his presser. I think it was either yesterday or 2 days ago. And I especially wanted to hear what he had to say. He had 17 unsigned players when we spoke to him before he left. He was talking about that. And many of them are no longer around. Options not picked up, contracts expiring, no negotiation. Right now, he's got 12 players under contract, Roberto. So the question asked at the presser was about that, and also in accordance with the World Cup and how that window might be profitable for them if they could discover some players there that want to come to Kansas City. Anyway, here's his response.
Yeah, so in general, I prefer, if we can, to try to use our resources from the very beginning of the season. If we wait to use our salary cap resources, they're going to miss somewhere between 14 and 17 matches. And so for me, if we can do the business that we want to do in January, that will always be the preference. It is harder in January, obviously in Europe in particular, those seasons are running. And so it is harder to get the players that you want. And ultimately, we've got to get the players that we want. And if that means we have to wait for 1 or 2 players, then we have to wait. But we know the team is nowhere near ready to compete right now because we need new players. So we're going to have to make a lot of additions come January, February, March to make sure the team is as competitive as we can be from the very first game of next season. I think the World Cup's going to be really interesting. I've not worked here when the World Cup has happened, so I think what we will see, I am very confident, is a whole group of players that experience soccer in this country for maybe the very first time and will be extremely interested in playing in across the US. And I have no doubt when whoever comes to visit Kansas City and sees the amazing fan base, infrastructure, facilities, we're going to have a lot of interest in our club.
Yeah.
If they can get over the heat, there's that small little problem.
Yeah, you might want to wait and bring him back in February. Well, then it's too cold and rainy.
Yeah, so there's pluses and minuses. Obviously, when people see the cities themselves, the infrastructure that they have, the training facilities that they have, all across MLS, I mean, everything is absolutely first class. And, the fact that, you can live as a normal human being as opposed to being accosted on the street every time you go out and you want to go get a cup of coffee or get a meal or just go to the supermarket. That's all very enticing to a lot of players, especially higher echelon players. So that is absolutely a selling point. I don't know how much of a selling point the summer is going to be. They're going to have to obviously overlook that. I think that he's right as far as that's concerned, and the league will sell itself by that. Now, when we talk about the fact that he's got 12 players signed, he's got to sign, 18 more players, basically. And so some of them will come from interleague, right? I mean, he'll make trades or buy players from within MLS. He'll definitely do that. But he's got to go out and fill a roster. Now, it's
Well, that's why
basically...
he said. That's why.
Yeah,
he
it's
said,
like an expansion team, Glenn. It's basically an expansion team.
No, it's a good way to look at it. But he said that's why he said January, February, and March. As far as bringing players in, whoever the new coach is, and he didn't get into that very much. He just said they really hadn't started to really seriously interview candidates until they got this roster situation figured out, because they had to sit with these guys or alert them, including Kyrie Shelton, a guy he's very familiar with from his days at New York City FC. Kyrie was released, and so he, whoever that coach is going to. You got to be honest with them. I'm sure they'll see it. It's like,
of course,
you're not going to have your full team in preseason, and we might be at the start of the season. We might not even have the full complement that you would like. But it's
exactly as long as it doesn't help cost me my job. Right. That's fine.
Well,
I'm here for the rebuild.
Yeah. So,
but I mean, look at San Diego. San Diego wound up with the second best, the best record in the Western Conference. They're in a full expansion team. So, it can be done. It will be done.
Yeah. All right, Roberto. Let's do kicking it around. We're going to hold the MLS TV numbers in abeyance because we can't just fluff over that. But I know you follow the women's game, and I just want to play one thing in kicking it around. So let's do it here, Jimmy. So the U.S. women played Portugal last night. Now, I had a couple of players at Rutgers who played on the Portuguese national team. I'm talking like in the early 2000s. And they had no infrastructure. I mean, it was not taken seriously, no budget. Now you fast forward about 22 years. Portugal, for the first time, beats the U.S. 2-1, and they deserved the victory. And it was interesting. And, there's still a lot of runway time here to the 2027 Women's World Cup, which is going to be in Brazil, the aforementioned Brazil. And but here was Emma Hayes afterwards. And the thing to note here is that there were 113 days between the last game they played and this one here. Emma Hayes, the head coach.
It felt like a team in pre-season to me. So we got to let it go. But as I always say, don't make it a habit. How we show up tomorrow, how we respond tomorrow is important. We travel up to Hartford and we've got a great locker room. Like football is, it doesn't always go the way you want. But we did play a good team, and as I keep teaching our team, don't underestimate European opponents. They play Champions League, they play Nations League. They know how to kill a game. They know how to waste time. They know how to make it difficult in so many different ways. And I was impressed with them. But we have to be better. Simple as that. Our job is not to be completely polished in things like our set pieces at this stage. It's to create the momentum built from the first half of the season. But it's not a given. Just because we had a good first half of the year, it's not a given. You have to always show up, and you can't think that we're scheduling European opponents in this passage because we know the Nations League and the Champions League are improving teams across Europe, and I think it's a good lesson for us today.
That's why I played it, because the European sides, talking about the savvy nature, killing the game, she was really frustrated. I think she looks out and sees players on these European sides not as athletically gifted as her U.S. players, and is like, well, there's more to the game than that.
Glenn, you're the coach, right? Here's my take out of this. She's got to be happy. Happy that they lost. Happy that they lost in the manner that they lost. Because what does this become? It's a teaching moment. And you live for those things. You take those games and you make examples out of them. And you take them and you teach out of that. and you make sure that it doesn't happen. And when you're a team like the U.S. is, which sometimes, it could be the greatest team in the world. I mean, they've got 4 World Cups to their name and multiple Olympic championships to their name. Sometimes, you look down at the crest and you go, we're the best. And sometimes you need to get slapped down a bit, and then you understand that just because you show up in a uniform, you're not just going to win. So I think Emma Hayes, somewhere in there, is happy this happened, because now she can really use this as fuel of getting this team to where she wants it to get.
Well, I think you probably have her figured out, because in an early interview I had with her last year, this was after winning the gold medal at the Olympics. The U.S. won all 6 games that they played. And I asked about that, and she talked about trying to keep the team on an edge, not feeling great about themselves. She said the best moment was when they went down to the Dutch. She the way she told the story, she turned to Denise Reddy, her assistant coach, and said, "That's what we need," and how they responded to it. So I think she's probably, but if you watch the whole press conference from last night, she was pretty frustrated. So
I'm sure she is. No, that's a different story.
I don't think she'd absorb the level of how it may help in the long run.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, it's going to help the U.S. national team.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be good for Emma Hayes to impart more wisdom, among other things.
Well, on Sunday they'll be in East Hartford, where we've been for New York City games a couple of times.
U.S. national team games.
And U.S. men's national team games. Well, the U.S. women are going to play there, and they're going to play Portugal again. So we'll see what kind of response they have.
Oh, that's going to be it. So the last time I went to Hartford, if I'm correct, was U.S. Mexico, and that was the women.
Okay. Last time I went was New York City FC against Comunicaciones of Guatemala.
Or something like that.
What do you mean? I was in East Hartford.
Comunicaciones.
Okay. Thank you, Roberto. That was in East Hartford, though, wasn't it?
It was in East Hartford.
Oh, okay. I get it.
And I was upset at that game. I was upset that the prices were like over $100, and knowing that basically everybody who was going to go were Chapines, were Guatemalan fans.
13,000, 12,000 of them were road team.
I wish ticket prices would have been more accessible. I would have been happy if they would have gotten 30,000 people, even if they were all Guatemalans.
Yeah.
Make it for everybody. Make it for everybody. Make the atmosphere. Make it look great on TV. Make the atmosphere inviting. And maybe you'll add some new fans to your team if your team can survive in those conditions and thrive in those conditions.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, it's a while till our broadcast, but we'll be Tuesday. We will not be on the air again with our live episode until after that game on Tuesday. So we'll be on. We figured at 6:30 p.m. Eastern for the pregame show. It's a 6:55 kickoff. If you're charting this, and then Maddie Lawrence and I will have NYCFC pregame live at 6:00. So I've done all the math, Roberto, while you were talking about something. So sorry.
All right, good for you. And who knows? Maybe you and I get up on Tuesday and go, hey, you want to do a live? And we'll do it at 4:00, and we'll be like, yeah, let's do it.
Maybe we could do that.
Yeah, we could.
All right. We'll
check it out. We'll see.
Think about it.
But we love the informality. We love the informality of this.
It is the great thing about a podcast. You can do whatever the heck you want. It's as long
especially
as
because
you want or whatever.
Yeah, well, along with Agnello, obviously, and the family, we're the bosses.
Yeah, and then
we shouldn't say bosses. But after all the NBA stuff happened, maybe we shouldn't say that.
Oh my God, I actually had that in Kicking It Around, but we have no time for that. Jimmy, on a Friday night, we're keeping Jimmy from I don't know what, but we're over an hour.
Yeah.
So
hey, the Knicks are starting. Let's go.
And hey, listen, you got baseball tonight, World Series. You're a baseball fan, but it's Inter Miami Nashville.
That's on too.
Kicking off in a few minutes too. So enjoy whatever you decide to watch or wherever you're going. For Roberto, I'm Glenn. Thanks, Jimmy. This has been NYCFC Views Live. Oh, nice. And celebrating 400. Jimmy, are you?
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast NYCFC Views on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.